Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. We're here to talk about one of the newest Netflix releases. We're here today to talk about Prey.
It's coffee time.
So when I saw that Prey was going to be released, and it was kind of like a survival thriller with a little bit of horror, and it was a German exclusive, I decided, why not, let's give it a try. And it sounded like some movies that I have really enjoyed. So will this one be better than those? Will this one be a little bit more original? We're here to discuss it, spoiler free as always, so let's dig into it. Prey is a 2021 German film directed and written by Thomas Sieben. Roman, his brother Albert, and their friends go on a hiking trip into the wild. The group soon finds themselves in a desperate bid for survival when they realize that they have fallen prey to a mysterious shooter. At first glance, when I saw what the movie was about, of course, some other Netflix exclusives came to mind, like Caliber, like The Ritual, or even Red Dot. These all kind of had a shooter, something that happened while people were in the woods, and also a movie called Downrange, which I think it's a little bit underrated. I really enjoyed it. If you like gore, make sure to check it out. And even Deliverance, which is a movie from the 70s. So this was kind of my expectations, I guess, when I went into the film. This is a low budget thriller, so I think it is fair to say that you should lower your expectations a little bit when you go into the film, taking that into consideration. But nevertheless, let me tell you if this one is worth your time. So we have our typical scenario. A group of friends find themselves in the woods. They want to have a nice bonding experience in the wilderness while they celebrate a bachelor's party. So it is a total, I believe, of 5 friends, and they are having a good time. They even have, forbidden to use mobile phones. They just want to be in the experience, in the moment, in the wilderness, when they hear a shot and they assume it's just a hunter in the distance doing their thing. However, soon the shooter is going to get closer and closer until one of them gets hurt, and they're going to realize that they're actually being the prey, and somebody, for some reason unknown to them, is hunting them. They don't understand why all of a sudden in the middle of a national park some sharpshooter is aiming at them. And the problem is that the windows of their car, the wheels, everything has been shot, so there is no way to get out of there with the car. Their phones don't have signal, which is something, again, a little bit convenient perhaps in this film, but something to be expected, otherwise it would be too easy. And of course they find themselves fighting for survival. Since their mission in the wilderness was just to have a good time, they also are not carrying any weapons, so they find themselves trying to survive a little bit defenseless against the shooter. One thing that I can tell you is that the film is actually nicely shot. I really did enjoy the cinematography. I really like to see a lot of the wilderness and some of the sets that they had. However, one of my biggest issues with this movie was the pacing, the way that they were pacing it, taking also into consideration that this is a thriller, so there has to be some moments that surprise you or some twists and turns. So the pacing was kind of a little bit of a problem for me. And also when it comes to the characters, I have to say they felt a little bit stereotypical, and the movie does not bring something extremely original to the table. This is a theme and something that we have been seen, done, explored before. But I have to say that I did enjoy the script, and I did enjoy a lot the idea behind this film. And the director keeps adding elements to the film that keep you guessing at the beginning what's exactly going on. Whenever you have these scenarios, somebody's shooting at them, but we don't know anything about the background of these. Who is shooting? Is it one person? Is it more than one person? And what's the reason? Why are these guys specifically being the target? So at the beginning you are kind of really engaged and waiting for that thrill. And there is a moment towards the beginning, the first half, that actually caught me off guard, and it was one of those jaw-dropping moments. At least it worked for me. I don't know if it's gonna work for other people, but honestly, after that, I felt like the movie got more predictable. And the thing is, I enjoyed some things about the story, because when you get to the end, you realize that there is a way deeper meaning to the story, and they do end up wrapping up a lot of things towards the end. The story is being told through two different timelines. So we have the present, we have our group of friends in the wilderness trying to survive, trying to escape this shooter. And we also get flashback from the past of some of the characters that are meant to kind of let us know a little bit more of the relationship between them, the secrets they might be hiding from each other, and all of these things. And honestly, I wonder if those flashbacks were really needed, if they really brought enough to the story to justify putting those flashbacks there in the middle of the film. Because in my opinion, I don't think they were really necessary, and they tend to follow mostly one specific character, who is the one that gets most of the background story. It's kind of like, hey, you have to care about this guy because we're giving him all of these flashbacks, so obviously he needs to be important. You know, it's like they're making things so obvious and so predictable that I wonder if the movie wouldn't have worked better if they wouldn't have added all of those flashbacks. Perhaps what the director wanted us to show is the true colors of people and how different types of characters would react in such a situation. We have the good one, you know, the good one at heart. We have the weakling, the one that's scared about everything, and we have a couple of jerks. But the thing with this film is that you didn't really end up caring for any of the main characters except for one, which is the one that got most of the character arc, and because you knew him a little bit more, you might care a little bit more for him. In the third act, they tried to introduce a lot more of emotional baggage, to give these characters a lot more of emotions and feelings and stuff. And it didn't quite land, I think, as the director intended. Like, you can see where he's going with it, but I don't think it's 100% working. This movie is under 90 minutes, I believe, and the problem is that it feels a lot longer. And that is, like I've mentioned before, that the pacing is not optimal. It is a movie that is supposed to be a thriller, so what I'm expecting here is to have a lot of moments of tension and suspense, and for the movie to be thrilling. But when we're getting to a moment of suspense, the movie just lets go before we really get to feel that thrill, and then we go back to normal. Then we try again to give a thrill, but we release again too soon. So I've never felt like that thrill in the movie. I've never been really like in tension. So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. It's like the pacing was trying to give us these peaks of suspense, but the director released before we got to the peak, so they never really gave us basically thrills in a thriller. And we have to remember that this is a survival thriller, so if we take away all of those moments of tension, then we end up with a movie that is not as strong as it could have been. At the end of the day, I ended up giving the movie a 3 out of 5 because this is not a bad movie. The problem is it's not bringing anything new to the table. It kind of reminded me in a way to the same feeling that I had with A Classic Horror Story, also a Netflix exclusive. I liked all the elements of the movie and I enjoyed it, but it was everything taken from other movies. It was everything recycled, things that I've seen before, and that is why it didn't work quite as well as it could have. And that is exactly the feeling that I get with this one. Now, the ending, I liked it, but I can understand and see that some people might not like it because it doesn't bring as much closure as some viewers might want. But at the end of the day, this was a survival thriller, that it was a little bit slow paced, that it didn't have as much tension and suspense as I would have hoped for, but it does have a nice story. It's very straightforward, and it is enough to keep you engaged and to keep you entertained. And it's also under 90 minutes, so you can just give it a go if you enjoy other movies that have that kind of same premise. Alright you guys, I hope that you enjoyed the spoiler-free review on Prey, a German movie that just landed on Netflix. Let me know down below if you've watched it, if you plan to. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up for support, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!